with that many people there's a chance that and that many people passing through, there's a chance you actually meet people. And I had met Rusky, and Rusky I found to be very interesting because you.
I'm glad to hear
Well,
it.
no, you're an interesting person, but you're elaborately
Is
interesting.
that kind of the
Um,
interesting in a kind of like, engaging and nice, or interesting in kind of like, looking into this lab experiment thinking, what the fuck is that?
Both, absolutely
Okay, good,
both.
good.
Yeah,
That's
but no,
nice.
no, no, but having had conversations with you in the past and knowing that your experience of your turnaround for items was significantly quicker than many other people we'd spoken to. It was
Yeah,
great
it
to be able
can
to
be.
say to you, look, how long is it going to take to make something? And when you turned around and said, oh, I know push, if I was if I had like
Oh, really?
I could do it in a day. And you were like, yes, thank you, like praising the gods of item generation. I
But
don't
you
know.
see, I was
It's,
really dim at this point because I didn't realize this was leading anywhere. I thought you were just asking me some nebulous questions about theoretical item
yeah.
creation. So when you were like laughing, I'm like, oh, why is he laughing? I don't understand. And you were like, good, you've got a day. Make us an item. I'm like, what?
Are you busy for the next couple of days? Right, good. Make us a night. But no, the conversation was leading. The whole point of this conversation was to say that when we spoke to you, you we were umming and ahhing for many sort of minutes, stroke hours. We actually didn't have much time about what sort of item we should ask you to make. And you kind of come back to us and said you basically brainstormed, and it's the first time in a long
Yeah.
time anyone had actually professionally brainstormed the KritzKast gang.
Wow.
And
So I mean,
the
that's when I
idea is
used
that
to like be a professional prop maker. So that's what you do a lot. There's someone who has this idea of what they want for a real life prop, and they're like,
Mm.
"Oh, it's this thing with stuff coming out of it, and all these flashing, blinking stuff." And you're like, "Well, it's a good starting point, but what can we actually do? What are our options? What tools do we have at hand? What can we do to the timescale, etc., etc." So yeah, spend a lot of time kind of walking people through the kind of design process with you, and yeah, it
Mm.
yeah,
means you get a good result that
it
people
was
like.
an incredible experience, and just talking to you and just having that kind of that interaction, and you suddenly, I know that your brain works much faster than the rest of us do, but the kind of the conversation with you, the fact that you could pick up on one part of a conversation and fully expand it, it's like looking at one of those. Do you ever see like the manuals, the old Hayes manuals for like
Oh, for cars,
car
yes.
maintenance, where you look at it, or you can get it now for like IKEA furniture, where you look at the final product, and it's like the final product has been exploded. So it's an exploded diagram with lines linking back to where the screw will actually go, or where the bolt actually goes into the final product. So you can follow the lines all the way back to their origin and have the finished product, or you can follow the lines back out again to where they appear on the diagram. It was one of those conversations where you took an idea and just exploded it fully, and then pulled it back again, slightly changed from its original
Yeah.
idea, and then you
I
blew
seem to
something
remember
out the other way and then pulled it back again.
we had that long Skype conversation where
Mm.
I think we came up with the kind of like radio mask idea very early, but like never go with your first idea when you're kind of designing like that. Just kind
Yeah,
of keep rolling through loads and loads of different stuff. And if you go back to your first idea because it's the strongest, well, that's cool. But you kind of want to know that there wasn't some other idea out there just waiting to be thought of that was much more awesome. But yeah.
yeah. So anyway, I can't remember where we started from with this conversation, but yeah,
Um, yeah, long fives. God knows.
yeah.
Design methods.
Design
Yeah.
methods,
In
design
fact, where
methodologies.
I picked up loads of that one from was when I was doing uni. I was doing fine art, but I hung out with all the industrial designers loads, and
Hmm.
loads of what they were doing was just like your design process and how you kind of quantify that, how you explain it to other people, and yeah, it's very interesting, that
Hmm.
kind of way of
My,
doing things.
my brother's an industrial designer. I'm not sure how done he is, but he's been teaching me a lot about that
So
design
how
process as
dumb
well.
he is, or how done he
Okay,
is.
how done he is. I think he has like a couple of months left, something. But I
Okay,
just really care.
right.
I'm not sure how officially I can say that, but I don't care. Um, but I'm also a sort of designer. I studied interaction design for 5 years,
Oh, cool.
and so I have a huge love for the design process, and especially that part about brainstorming. It's such a weird concept because if you try to engage someone who hasn't been you know taught in the ways of brainstorming, you
Yeah.
will be so frustrated, basically, because they will say no, and then suddenly everybody's sad and everything is weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's this thing like, I mean, if you've got a project like that, you think what you want to do for the first thing is start making something. But with any kind of design thing like that, the first thing you want to do is absolutely nothing. You just want to sit down and have a think about it for a good long while, because you need to make sure you're heading in the right direction before you set off, you know?
You don't just want to think; you want to have lots of stupid, crappy ideas.
Yes. Play around and...
Get all
and
the
you wanna-
crappy ideas out the way.
Yeah, and just keep them coming. More.
Well, no, I
more,
mean, come up with
more.
all the kind of crappy, ridiculous ideas and see, like, which ones stick. I mean,
Yeah.
quite often you'll just, like, you know, you'll be kind of doing the main thing, which is kind of sensible, but then you'll think, oh, but we had that idea. We can just take that element of that and just kind of mash it into the side here, and it's just completely awesome.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, actually, the chat room. Somebody came back to the chat room. It's one of the. I think it's code. Was it his code name or? And actually, it's the
Yeah,
31500. Came back and goes, "Whoa, you guys are still talking." It's like, yeah, we're still talking. I have kind of a temptation to load this up to YouTube and see whether or not, because they sent us a message a little while back saying, yes, you can now upload videos longer than 20 minutes. Well, screw you. Let's see how long we can upload a video for.
How long can it be?
Yeah.
Test.
Yeah. Also test if anyone watching to see how long they can stay awake for, man. This is a long time.
You could do like a... Well, you know, they're doing that games marathon. You could do a sponsored listen to us chat shit. See, like, you can last that
I
long.
will never talk to anyone that way. Not if they have an opportunity to escape.
Oh,
This is like one of those, fires you can have on your TV, but instead of this, is like have developers talking in the background. You can just have it.
just while you're doing other stuff, it's just
Yeah,
happening.
it's just
It'd
people.
be kind of interesting, right? I mean,
wouldn't it?
well, in fact, isn't like didn't Notch do something like where you could watch him code live or something?
They had did a 24-hour or 48-hour live stream coding thing.
Yeah, I've
For
not checked it
the-
out. It probably wouldn't mean very much to me, but I'm fascinated by the concept. I'd love to.
I don't think he talked anything. He was just coding and streaming his screen. He was communicating through Notepad, basically.
I've seen, talking about Penny Arcade earlier, I've seen the guys there doing the comic book live. Like on, again, I think it was a Ustream, I could be wrong, or it could be, I don't know, whatever. But yeah, I mean, I've seen people sort of create art live, and I find that fascinating as well, how they're sort of structuring things or creating from this vision that they have and how they reproduce that. And I guess, I mean, I can see how, if you're familiar with the code, watching someone else code it out, or someone who technically should be the best person in the world at creating this code, then I can see how that would be fascinating. But it's such a niche audience, although you've got like millions upon millions of followers, then even a niche, even a small percentage of that is still a very large number.
I think many people are trying to find the secret. Sort of. I mean, they love his game, and if you watch him code, maybe you can sort of find
Almost
that little thing that gives him his power. Sort of. It's
Maybe
power
by
game.
osmosis you'll absorb a little bit of that. You
Just
know?
a bit at a time. In fact, again, watching your Cobolt videos on how you do the design maps and looking at the sort of structure for that, it's something of the same. I know that the one where you did the manufacture of level, I'm guessing that was speeded up. There's no way in hell you can.
That is speeded up, yes, and it's actually Kinton doing it. So.
Oh, there we go.
I don't take credit for it, but still, yes.
But yeah, I mean, I found that kind of, because I know that I've tried to make levels in Little Big Planet. I've tried to make levels in. I think I tried to make level in the TF2 once and gave up.
Oh
very
God,
quickly.
Hammer!
Yeah.
Oh
Hammer.
Christ, Hammer!
I made a couple levels as well.
Did you?
Yes, I did. I never really published anything, but I experimented some.
Huh.
But I was more into the do weird shit. Like I made a map of where basically the map's goal was to get one counter-terrorist through the defenses of the terrorist,
Yeah.
And if that person made it to the end, I had made it so that the rescue zone and the hostages were at the same location. So you just had to tap the hostage and you would win.
Ah, okay.
Okay.
But it was like this huge, scary, bank wall, blown up bank building gauntlet thing where I imagined like all these little weird fights taking place. And they had this timed vault doors. So you would open the door and then they would like open slowly. So they would have to sort of like defend the location until they could move forward and stuff like that. But I never published anything. I just tried to create new gameplay with what was available. But I never had enough friends to try it either, so it might as well be crap. I don't know.
It's still an interesting concept, and I guess other people, again, I mean, if you take enough people on the internet, you guarantee that two people will have the same idea, but it's up to those people. One of them will have published and the other one won't. And it's just the way you go.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you've got stuff like tf2maps.net where you don't need a big gang of friends anymore. You kind of take your new map to them, and they have like these parties where everyone will just get together and just play through a load of crazy new maps. It's great.
It's actually the support for custom maps in the FPS community, especially TF2, and also Counter-Strike at some level, has improved so much lately. It's really fun to see. But my favorite thing to make maps for was probably Warcraft 3. That was where I really loved making maps because the editor was so powerful and so fast, and it was so easy to try maps because everybody wanted to try new maps on Battle.net.
Yeah.
It's very rewarding in that way.
My God, you just reminded me of the thing that I spent most of my time mapping on. It was this ASCII-based thing, a bit like Rogue, except it was called ZZT. And you had this little dude, and you could script a little world and adventure he could go on. Christ, waves of nostalgia.
I'm just going to see if I can find it now. ZZT.
Yeah, I'm going to look it up. I want to know if it still exists. I haven't even looked at this for years.
The town of ZZT.
ANSI character-based computer game. Oh!
Wow.
Oh, man.
Tim Sweeney. I recognize this.
Oh, wow. Me and my brother spent hours on this. Days, in fact. Oh, nostalgia!
That's not what it used to be.
I'm pretty sure there was a talk about this thing at not the last No More Sweden, but No More Sweden before that. Somebody made a presentation about the ZZT and about the guy who made it. It was actually quite interesting. It wasn't
It's very, very elegantly done, just how it works, and yeah.
This is remarkable.
It's I guess the modern equivalent is something like Dwarf Fortress, but I haven't touched that because I just know it'd swallow so much of my life.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't want to get near that. Although I have a friend who's really into Dwarf Fortress, and I just love hearing him chat about how he's spent so long working out how to handle cats in his fortress because they're very important, but they kind of breed too much. And he had this well that he'd throw the cats down, but he didn't make the well quite deep enough. So one cat randomly survived, and it's like meowling in its kind of crippled state made the dwarves unhappy. And
You're kidding?
madness. No, straight up.
Well, it's weird because Kronos, the missing guy from our gang, is actually the one person I really kind of wanted to use in me. He creates this Minecraft podcast, but he actually was into Dwarf Fortress before he was into Minecraft.
Right.
And he always bestowed the virtues of Dwarf Fortress. It was an awesome game, and yet we all kind of said, "Yeah, sure it is. You just let you play that game. Yeah, this is scary." And sort of tried. I don't know. I mean, I didn't deliberately try to ignore him, but it was sort of I don't really want to get involved. I personally, I struggle to see the value in games that don't look up to par with today's graphical standards.
Really?
Yeah, I know it's very sort of it's stupid of me because I know that there are many games out there that don't have like the the level of I'm going to stop looking at ZZT now. It's driving me nuts. That don't really have that kind of the sophistication to create beautiful looking games, but actually are extraordinarily complex, extraordinarily clever. But oh man, I can't stop looking at this game now. It's awesome. But no, it's he always bestowed the virtues of Dwarf Fortress, and in fact, I think he wants to name the podcast something that allowed the opportunity to talk about Dwarf Fortress, because that for him certainly that seemed like a really cool idea, and I wish that you had described to me what Dwarf Fortress was before I'd let him loose, because then yeah, it sounds like a really awesome game.
Well, it's not a game I'd ever want to play, but I love hearing the stories from it. Like one of my recent things I've got into is watching StarCraft 2 games, like on shoutcasts and things. And I've never played the game. I never intend to buy the game, but watching it with the commentary, I'm finding fascinating.
But I think with StarCraft, as it is with LOL and Dota and all those sort of Dota likes, or action RPG, or whatever the fuck they call themselves, but the game can be incredibly boring for the first hour, 3 hours, however long it takes to get really sort of kicked off, and it's only in the last 10 minutes that it really starts getting exciting. And so the commentators have this awful task of having to talk shit for a long time before something actually starts to happen, which I think is brilliant. If you can engage an audience for a very long time without actively saying anything, then I think that's a skill worth having.
Yeah, totally.
And certainly StarCraft brings that out in them, at least.
Yeah. Well, you have no choice.
It could be a game, couldn't it? Like, how long can we keep talking for people watching in the KritzKast live room? Just
eventually give
up
and go.
Take it anymore.
We're down to the last 18 viewers. I feel actually when we did the hat update, when we had our hats, we hadn't actually explained to people what the rules were in order to get a lo-fi long wave ahead of time. And this is kind of like where the wiki starts falling down, because the wiki guys have basically decided that someone had submitted to the wiki that the way to get the hat would be to be there in the live cast.
Yeah.
So we actually had 6,500 people watching our live cast. We had so many people watching our live cast that when someone linked to the actually ironically to the article on the Wikipedia saying these are the rules for getting the lo-fi, and I think we linked it almost ironically saying these actually aren't the rules for getting the lo-fi. 6,500 people went to look at the same time, and as happens with any website, if a whole bunch of people look at a particular link at the same time, that website went down. So we personally, one of the highlights of my career is podcasting career is taking down the Valve's Wikipedia website. But
Congratulations!
Well, thank you. The Wikipedia website is actually housed, or used to be housed, on the same web server that houses Valve's Steam user forums. So SPUF, it's Steam Power User Forums. So the forum for all of their games is housed, or was housed, on the same server as the Wikipedia. So we technically took down not only Wikipedia, but we took down the forums as well. But yeah, I think where I was going with this. Yeah, so we hadn't published any rules about how you get hold of the hats, and the actual rules for it was something that you basically had to. You had to have been part of our Steam group in advance of us announcing that there was going to be a competition.
Oh, it's a competition you can't win.
It's a competition that you need to already have had an attempt to win before you can try to win it.
Oh, the SPUF rage around that one.
Yeah, man, we were popular that day.
Man.
Yes. that's a lie. We weren't very popular.
Every now and then I end up having this conversation with people being like, no, seriously, the KritzKast guys, they're not Satan incarnate. They just got painted that way by
It's
stuff.
just a little bit, yeah. And
Yeah.
well, what I was going to say was that if we get to the point where we're closing off and there's I don't know. This is kind of like where rage comes from, because the temptation to say is when we get to the point where we're about to say goodbye, anyone who's left in chat will give them a lo-fi long wave. Then suddenly our chat numbers go insane again. I'm not going to do that. That's not the way it's going to go. Just like, congratulations, guys, you've made it to the end. You know, chat room is now going nuts. But no, that's the kind of the way that the whole kind of mass theory works. Are you watching the chat room?
Yeah.
Hot.
But I mean, this is kind of like a bizarre subculture that well, I can say Valve, but TF2 guys within Valve have created this idea that hats are the most awesome thing in the world ever, the most awesome thing that ever could be. And people will do bizarre stuff for the opportunity of getting a hat. Absolutely no guarantee at all that you're going to get it. You just want a chance to get it.
Well, they introduced it first with the medal, where it was this thing where if you're in the right place at the right time, you get some bling that no one else can have.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, you know, in a game like this where people like commit, you know, portions of their lives to playing it, if you can, you know, have, you know, some kind of cosmetic which is to some extent unique, that's pretty big, right?
Yeah, I suppose. There's definitely an element of that, at least. I mean, the exclusivity of random articles.
I mean, think about it this way, right? You've got a sparkly flamethrower, right? How does it make you feel when you burn people with that sparkly flamethrower? Isn't it a little bit special?
It's just, do you want to see it? It's actually a little bit. It's not really so much about burning people with it. It's the pre-game stuff, like the taunts. So one of the things that's been introduced in the new updates that's gone out is the ability to do a high five animation with
like
other
Portal
people.
2.
Sorry?
Like Portal 2.
Like Portal 2,
Yes.
yeah. So they've introduced animations. So a new animation, the new high five animation, and it has a tendency towards taking up people's time pre-game, you know, while the game is being set up.
Can you actually grab somebody in the middle of the game and just high five them?
Well, no.
Sorry.
What you do is you establish the desire to have a high five. So you basically you put your hand in the air, sort of like "Don't leave me standing, bro" kind of thing. And then other people have a chance to high five you if they so wish. But yeah. So what the hell was I talking about? Man, my brain is going to go to. Do you remember the last time we had this conversation when we were talking in like post show, and I was trying to make a point, and I realised like halfway through the point that I was trying to make that I couldn't actually make that point. I'm starting to get that way. I'm weakening. My resolve is tiring.
Seriously, by this point, I've worked my way through my bottle of spirits, which I didn't think I was going to.
It's like a new drinking game. It's podcast the drinking game. Survival of the most sober. No, I'm just fascinated watching this ZZT. I've got to stop watching it now. It's ridiculous. The complexity of the levels is unbelievable.
What you need to do now, Aggro, is download it.
I will never download and play this game. I have too much love for my own sanity, which is already accursed.
About the not being able to appreciate old style graphics games.
Yeah,
I think it's very natural because visual is the first you see, and it's easiest to convey because you don't have to interact, you don't have to add a time variable. It's just there. And it's very easy to judge upon it. And it's also, it's one of the first things we judge other humans when we just walk them past the street. It's always like looks. How do they look? Bad, hot, old, drunk. It's only when you add like time and you get a more nuanced view, and then when you also start interacting with them, you start asking questions, start touching them, and poking them in the stomach. That's when you get closer to the truth, or understand whatever. So of course, there's a huge challenge for games to convey gameplay and also just interaction, because people are not very likely to invest in finding out, basically. Which is one of, even though Minecraft is like a huge success, but you cannot convince a person to play Minecraft without actually forcing them to play Minecraft.
Yeah.
That's like the only way.
Well,
Yeah,
it depends. I wouldn't say that's true across the board, because I mean, I play a kind of real life strategy game called Go, and you just have black and white stones and you place them on a grid. It could be argued that the graphics are shit.
No. It's beautiful wood.
Well,
It's high def shit.
You can play it like with shitty counters made out of paper on a crappy board, and it's the same thing.
It's not really, because graphics aren't something you have an expectation of ever being high in a game that effectively. I mean, graphics is a computer thing. You could possibly say that it doesn't have a particularly exciting appearance, but like you say, the wreck, it's down to. Yes, it can be beautiful. The boards can be made of fantastic mahogany or cherry wood, and the pieces themselves can have great shape and luster and colour for its type. And the Go boards, I know from experience, or certainly from the Chinese version of it, the Go boards themselves are generally the most exotic wooden structures available. Just incredible stuff. Yeah.
When you get the professional ones, which are like Go bands, which are like a massive hunk of tree with little legs, and but I mean, it's not integral to the game. There's enough strategy going on there to make it interesting aside from the visuals,
The Go.
And I mean, hey, look at like professional Team Fortress 2, where everyone will like use a config to make it look like a piece of shit.
Yeah.
They do?
Well, no, they'll use configurations to try and improve the speed, the sort of FPS speed.
Well, it's not just the FPS speed. It's about just getting rid of all the non-essential visual noise.
Yeah, the stuff that would distract you from getting that kill.
Yeah.
Would draw your target or reticle away from what is the enemy, or what is.
Let me try and find you a picture.
It's right back to Quake again.
It is back to Quake. It's exactly back to Quake. I mean, playing Quake with all of the graphics turned to low was a nuts experience. But yeah, I remember I used to play. The place I played Counter-Strike was a place in London called the Playing Fields, and it was kind of like underneath somebody's house. There was space for about sort of maybe 30 or 40 PCs. There was a small bar. It was actually kind of super revolutionary for its time. It was around about the time when, in England, certainly the internet cafes started dying out. But it was still interesting. And I would play CS with these guys over in this location. And what was the start of this conversation? Oh yeah, I remember they used to house lots of events, and one of the ones they housed was the Quake tournament, one of the like world Quake tournaments, and it was won that year by a Russian team who was brought over, and all of the machines had been set up with like 100 like maxed out video settings for Quake. Anything you could possibly imagine doing had been done, and it was won by a Russian team that could not afford and had never seen high quality graphics. They'd learned to play the game using the minimum resolutions, the minimum like the tiniest of screens, the tiniest of settings, because that's all their machines could support. And then to come to the UK and be flooded with this information, it was like it's like running a marathon previously using only 1 foot, and suddenly finding that you could compete using 1 foot, and then going to the Olympics and realizing that other people use both their feet, and you go, oh, actually I'll try it with both feet, and finding that they could hop significantly faster using 2 feet, and they could, and for longer times than they could with only 1 foot. So they absolutely wiped the floor with all of the other competition. Nobody stood a chance.
That's awesome.
Wow.
I really can talk for ages.
One of those video features of Counter-Strike especially is like high shadows, which is such a huge advantage if you're playing certain maps. Because if you're playing with low shadows, you have like this little blob shadow under your feet. While high shadows, you have this raycast shadow that is projected on different directions depending on where the sun is. And on some maps, you can very, very clearly see the shadow like coming up around the corner a good couple of hundredths of a second before the player actually comes around.
Yeah. I mean, something that gets used in TF2 quite a lot is if you stand right next to a wall, sometimes you can see someone's shadow through the wall.
Yeah.
So you know where they are ahead of time.
Before they come around the corner, you can see where
Yeah.
they are. Yeah. Again, we've almost become used to it being that is the way that the game is designed to be played. And if you let yourself think about it, you're seeing a shadow through a wall. That may be the way that the game is designed. That is the least realistic thing that could ever possibly happen in a game or in real life. It's one of those kind of moments that takes you out of or should take you out of gameplay. But I'm guessing a design decision that enables the game to flow more freely. I'm kind of giving Valve a bit of a benefit of the doubt on that one. Yeah. So this is Frackle Brigade. So this is Chris's config. Is it Chris config?
Yeah, like that's the thing that'll just make your game essentially look like Minecraft, but it'll run very, very fast.
I probably should try something like this. I have not the best FPS in TF2.
I also have not the best FPS TF2. What machine, what rig are you playing on?
I'm playing on a 2009 MacBook Pro 13-inch.
Mm-hmm.
A small one.
So you're a Mac gamer?
Yeah, but I'm running XP on the Mac. Oh.
Okay.
As well as XP. I'm running both.
Yeah. Dual booting or
Yeah.
what's it called?
And Parallels as well.
There you go.
I'm a huge fan of OS X for the system level stuff. I really love running Windows in OS X because everything just works so much better when it comes to at least Mac hardware, like wireless and just the network cables and everything, like all the system really base level shit. It's giving me a lot of weird stuff. Like handling the Bluetooth, for example, works much better there. But I'm not saying Windows doesn't work. It's just for a MacBook Pro, it's a bit weird sometimes.
Perfect.
No, but if I want to play like TF2 or Counter-Strike, I really prefer just pure XP because there's something with the mouse in OS X, which is no matter how much you tweak it and configure it, there's always this weird, sluggish, like half FPS delay that you can't get rid of.
That sounds
really
very irritating.
It is very irritating. It's so small and annoying, and it's you try to Google it and there is no results, and you're like but I know it's there.
I can't be the only one kind of thing.
No, exactly, but apparently nobody cares.
Not enough people care to actually write it down somewhere.
No.
Yeah.
it's that little tiny thing.
So this is the machine you code on as well?
Yep.
Okay. Alright, that sort of makes sense. You code on a 13-inch screen, you nuts.
That's the second person who've told me that. I don't know. Am I?
Seriously, you don't have a screen plugged into it. You've just got 13 inches of screen that you're. That's what you said.
Yep.
That you're. Wow.
Yes.
It depends what you're used to. Like when I had one screen, I thought it was fine. Then I got 2 screens, and I was like, man, how did I survive with one screen? And now I've got 3 screens, and I'm like, how did I survive with 2 screens? And you just get spoilt.
Yeah. I'm streaming at the moment. I've actually got 2 windows up at the moment. I don't know, you can see the screen, but kind of mousing over. That's the one on the left, and that's the one on the right to really confuse everybody. But this is all stuff that's going on one of my screens, and the other screen has the chat in it. It has a Steam in it. It's got a whole bunch of like other stuff going on, and now, like you, I've got to the stage where I can't actually envisage doing what I do in terms of the show with only one screen. It just wouldn't work. It literally wouldn't work. And I've tried to replicate it on like my laptop, in sort of worst case scenario, trying to do everything on the laptop, and it's painful. I don't know how people work with only one screen.
I think that's why I don't want to get too used to more screens, because I don't want it to be painful to sit at cafes and code. I really enjoy it. I don't want to ruin that sort of.
But surely at least get yourself a decent amount. I can't imagine you're rolling in at the moment. You haven't produced anything to get any money, but have you been given has Mojang kind of slipped you a few grand, or is there an opportunity for you to get something better, or you just...
Yeah, there is an opportunity for me to get something better, and Kinton is actually sort of reminding me like every other day, like, have you ordered that computer yet? Have you ordered that computer yet? And no, I haven't. But
This is for you or for him?
Well, for the company.
Okay.
But
him,
for me
basically.
too.
Yeah.
Well, for me as well.
Right.
Because I need another computer to comfortably code multiplayer code on as well.
If you're going to be out and about with like a piece of technology, there's something quite liberating about being a bit crap. Like, I mean, I only ever buy like £15 mobile phones, so if I drop them down a toilet or whatever, I just don't give a damn. You know, if I'd just spent hundreds on a new iPhone, I think I'd just be really stressed about the whole thing.
Well, this is kind of... I mean, that's why I spend extra money in getting like the care warranty thing. Obviously, it's worthless if you get it for Apple, but I kind of moved away from Apple products a little bit, and... I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I actually I was getting difficulty on my phone, so I reset it to factory settings and realised that in doing so I'd lost a whole bunch of contacts, I'd lost a whole bunch of photos. But at one point in my life, a decade or so ago, I lost about 2.5 years worth of work. Hard drive I had everything stored on, and yeah, I mean, I always berate people for not backing up their stuff. Oh, how can you not back up your stuff? But sure enough, I hadn't backed anything up for the last couple of years. Various websites, various documents, things I'd done for people and created. About 2.5 years worth of work just went up in smoke. The hard drive was dead, nothing I could do about it. And I think that after suffering that kind of loss, 2.5 years worth of data, pretty much anything that happens to you after that point is an acceptable loss. You know, you think, well, it could have been worse.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
So here's the lengths that like me and my brother go to. So he's currently in Australia, right? But every now and then, like, you know, every couple of times a year, I'll get to see him. And what we do is we just swap our entire hard drives onto like our respective brother's external hard drive. So there's an entire copy of everything I've got currently in Australia. So if this entire hemisphere of the world gets exploded, you know, my data's backed up in Australia. It's okay. It's very important.
That's really cool. I know and it's something that I've heard other people do as well in terms of sharing data. Having something off-site is kind of cool.
Yeah, because I mean, having an external hard drive is great and all that, but what if your house gets robbed?
Yeah.
I mean,
it's like getting backup tapes of, back in the day when people used tapes for backup. We're getting backup tapes. And then storing those tapes on the same site. And and what happens when the site burns down? Or what happens if something hits the site that really takes everything out? The only solution to that is to have a safe on site that is fireproof. I'm working on a location where the safe was on the 14th floor, and it was fireproof, and the rest of the building was designed sort of turn of the century. In the event of a fire, the safe would almost certainly fall through the building.
and would it survive that?
It would survive it. Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, technically, it would survive it, but everything else in the building would be destroyed. And
So whatever you put in the safe, you're going to put in loads and loads of polystyrene, just like pad it all
it's
the way
gonna
around.
go. It's not just gonna. Yeah, you don't want to put like a Fabergé egg in there unless it's surrounded by 1,000 sort of cubic capacity tons of padding. Otherwise, it's just gonna destroy on impact. So yeah, if you're more concerned about having a backup on site secure than you are about the welfare of the people who work for you, then there's something very strange and wrong with your life. So, yeah, in fact, in the event of a fire, most of the employees at that location probably would have died in the fire. I do lots of jobs around the city at the moment, and now I've become sort of paranoid about the fire suppressant systems people have in server rooms.
Right.
Whereby most of them use a noble gas, something like
Oh shit.
yeah,
Yeah, presumably argon or something.
yeah, argon. Thank you. So
That sounds
in the event of a
poisonous.
fire breaking out in a large server room or an expensive server room, argon gas is released from the top of the server room, and as I'm sure you guys are aware, it settles it like a blanket of gas. Moves down from the top of the server room to the very floor of the server room and sits there at the bottom. So any oxygen in the room is smothered, is squashed down to the very bottom layer. So of course with fires requiring oxygen, or one of the many things, or one of the things in the triangle, one of those things is being removed, so the fire will actually be put out. So it's a very clever way of putting out the system, of suppressing systems. But it does mean that you have to get out of that comms room. Because if you're
It's
in
not
it,
safe.
you will die. And in fact, it's worse than simply suffocating. If you inhale argon, you will it'll go down through your system. And the only way of getting it out of your system is to force all air out of your lungs. So if you find
Oh, God.
yourself having inhaled argon, you actually need someone to do like a Heimlich maneuver on you to eject any air in your lungs.
And preferably hold you upside down.
And hold you upside down by your ankles. Ironically, holding someone, it kind of sort of works, but it sort of doesn't work as well. So, so yeah, actually, a system that's designed to prevent data loss is actually designed to kill humans.
Have you considered allowing yourself the paranoia of like taking some kind of respiratory system with you when you do these kind of jobs?
No,
Like a
but
diver's air tank or
So
something?
there's part of me that wants to protect my ears because I'm constantly spending time in a highly it's not really dangerous levels, but it's like going to a rock concert every day of your life because the sounds. I mean, I'm assuming you guys are in server rooms. I'm assuming you know the sort of sound that many servers makes when they're all together. There's basically the cooling fans of the computers, the cooling fans of the actual cabinets containing the computers, and more importantly, the cooling fans of the air conditioning units that are keeping the air around the computers and around the cabinets cool. And that noise is constant, droning, and much like my conversations, and droning, and it just tires you out, and it tires your hearing out. So I started putting earbuds in to protect my ears, to protect my hearing. And there's a part of me that says, don't make it too good, because if it's too good, you won't hear the alarms telling you to get out of the server room when the argon's released. So it's kind of like you weigh up the situation, and you wouldn't have thought that working in a comms room, working in a server room, is in any way one of the life-threatening. It is, as they say, a first-world problem, but it's still a danger. It's still such a weird.
There's
thing.
do you know the author Cory Doctorow?
Yes.
Yeah, so he has a book where there's this poison biological thing that kills everyone except the people in the server rooms because they're homeostatically sealed.
Yes.
So they're the only people that survive. Love that concept.
It is. It's a brilliant concept. I mean, I always figure that in the event of sort of zombie apocalypse, then there will be certain amenities that will die before other amenities. Mostly because everyone figures, well, there's less people in the world, so surely electricity will last longer. There's less people making cups of coffee. Well, actually, a nuclear power station still requires a human to interact with it. Someone needs to monitor. Someone needs to put carbon rods in or pull them out, or even just to switch a switch on
Yeah.
something.
Electricity would be one of the first things to go.
Yeah, so electricity is pretty much gone from the get-go. So anyone who relies on, for their emergency services, anything that is powered by electricity, they'd better have a generator on site.
And a human.
And a human to operate. And they'd better have the fuel to power the generator, and they'd better have the experience, the technical know-how to do your own maintenance on a generator.
So, okay, zombie apocalypse themed, right? But this is one of the insanities that my girlfriend allows me, and that is I'm allowed to have an apocalypse cupboard where I have about a month's supply of food just in a cupboard, just in case, you know, the zombie apocalypse hits and we need to hold out. You know, you want to have that food on site. So yeah,
well, it doesn't necessarily mean. I mean, the zombie apocalypse is always up there, and it's a very geek experience,
Exactly.
a very geek thing. But I think it's interesting having that kind of philosophy, because if you find yourself in a scenario where it doesn't necessarily have to be zombie apocalypse, it could be like the entire town is flooded.
Yes.
So all non-perishable goods suddenly increase dramatically in value. You know that rescue is coming within 2 weeks, but for those 2 weeks, any foodstuff that you have in your house will escalate dramatically in value.
Barter.
So you find yourself in a scenario whereby, in that 2 week period, you can effectively give up or barter away half your rations for much more valuable items.
Man, I hadn't even considered the profit aspect. I was just thinking survival.
Well, you could find
Working the
yourself
angles.
owning a really cool car, a really cool stereo system, all of these things that in zombie apocalypse or in worst case scenario actually don't do squat for you, but you could barter your way to owning them, in without actually incurring any cost beyond that
Just
which you'd have
buy some big
originally
old
outlaid.
sacks of rice.
But that also comes with its own problems, because if you're thinking about it in terms of, I could make shit from stuff that I've got stored up, that sort of opens you up to corruption. Opens you up to makes you a target.
It also makes you a target. If people know that, you know, you've got food stored there and their family are starving, then they're going to get some weapons and raid you.
Well, this is it. That as far as they're concerned, you're suddenly the bad guy. You have stuff that you're not giving out to other people. You're trying to profit from other people's misery. And it's very difficult to defend that point of view, saying, well, actually, I'm looking after my family. Admittedly, my family is me and my girlfriend, but I'm looking after my family. So I've effectively pre-thought this and created a scenario where my family is looked after. So you don't deserve to have it, not because you don't deserve to have it, but because I've gone out and sourced this stuff ahead of schedule. But the world won't see it that way. The world will just see it as you being a complete bastard for not sharing.
Well, I mean, if you attempt to profiteer, then you're really setting yourself up to be a villain in that situation. But I mean, if you just keep it quiet and keep it to yourself, lock the doors, board up the windows, make a crossbow, then yeah,
but
under those circumstances.
Even then, you've got to be very careful about your consumption of that sort of food stuff. You've got to be seen to be starving along with everyone else. Even though internally you might be significantly more healthy than everyone else. You do need to hold up the appearance of being starved to a certain degree.
Pale makeup.
Yep. So you might find that the next time your girlfriend looks in the storeroom of things to hold in
the
zombie
apocalypse cupboard,
you will actually have in there makeup.
Because come the apocalypse, I need to make sure I look my best.
Yeah, well, come in the apocalypse, you actually need to make sure you look your worst.
Yes.
It's not.
Well,
Cosmetic
it depends
makeup,
if you
it's,
like go completely crazy and board up the house and stuff, because then you don't need to say, actually meet anyone face to face.
Well, this is the
They
whole
will
Left 4 Dead.
smell
This is
food.
you're forcing people to go out and do jobs for you just so they can get you some Coca-Cola.
It all just got a bit Left 4 Dead, didn't it?
Yeah, it did get a little bit Left 4 Dead. Wow. This conversation has gone to a very strange place.
It's gone everywhere, hasn't it?
Yes. I'm very tempted to call it a night.
You should.
Okay, so hint taken. No, definitely. This has been pretty awesome. I love having this conversation with you guys. The Wreck.
Yes.
If there's anybody still watching, where do people find you, and where do people find your work?
They find me at thewreck.se. They find my work at oxeygames.com, and they find some info about the game at playcobolt.com.
Cool.
So, and they,
Cool.
yeah, that's it. I think.
Nice one. Rusky, about yourself.
Yeah. What websites and things?
Yeah.
There's willsegerman.com. I should probably spell that in chat or something. That's where all my junk is. I need to update it. I always need to update it. I'm really lazy.
Google likes where you are, so Google,
Yeah, totally.
Google finds you really easily.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I'm working on at the moment. Just random shit.
Oh, right. Actually, a good idea by a little regular guy. We have a Cobolt IRC channel on Espernet as well.
Nifty.
Yes. It's a cozy little channel. And
yep.
they are actually the ones asking about sausages.
Oh, that was them.
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
Now the truth will come out eventually.
Yes, it does. I am such an honest guy.
You got to tell the story of the sausages. You can tell it to your grandchildren when you get really bored. It'd be like an episode of How I Met Your Mother, but How I Met the Golden Sausage.
I'm wondering if this is like a kind of indie game development, because the Magica guys, they have a real thing for sausages as well.
Really?
Yeah, like in all the loading screens, like sausages seem to feature. You not seen that?
I haven't seen that, and I'm not even going to Google it. I'm not even going to dignify it with the Google search for sausages. I feel this conversation has gone somewhere, once again, to a disturbing place.
The sausage apocalypse.
The sausage apocalypse.
Sausage apocalypse.
It's really difficult to say sausage apocalypse. Combine it into one word.
In Sweden, we have a really nice piece of canned sausages, which is called Bullens Pilsnerkorv. I think they would be really good for stocking up in your apocalypse cupboard. You should get them.
Yeah.
I may investigate. But if you ever happen to be in London, bring some canned sausages for us, right?
Oh, that'd be awesome. You got to do it, man. Do you ever get over here? Do you ever do
What?
promotional stuff in London?
Ooh, what?
Are you coming to London anytime? Do you ever
Oh.
get to travel? Or?
I don't have any plans to go to London right now, but sure. Tell me when.
Yeah,
Everyone eventually comes to London. It's like
Eventually.
the plug hole of the world.
Nice.
I posted a link to the awesome
Have you?
sausages in your chat.
Okay.
Yeah, there's Wolf Sigma-Man. Oh, I don't see that. Oh, in the IRC.
Yeah.
I'm actually playing your music, Will.
Cans. Oh yeah, Pocket Watch Tunes. Man, we got a gig this Saturday. I should really be practicing a lot more than I am right now.
It's fine. Nobody will know.
Yeah, totally. Live music's a piece of piss. Like, once you made a mistake, it's gone. It's like when you're recording, that's when it's like hard.
Yeah. Every single note is leered over.
Yeah, exactly.
A million times. If you're lucky. I got two more windows open now.
Man, I tell you what, a can of sausages right now. In fact, I've got a hankering for. Do you know Savoy? Do you have Savoy sausages in Sweden?
Savoy.
They're like these really weird, lurid red sausages you have with chips.
Yes, the Danes
Like a
love them.
hot dog type thing. Is that
Like a what?
hot dog kind of thing?
Kind of, but they just don't taste like anything else upon this earth. They like everything that's wrong about processed meat, but they just end up
Right.
just being so just nom nom nom.
I'll post a link to what I think you mean.
In fact,
Is that it?
I'm gonna let me have a look.
I think that might be it.
Oh, that looks a lot like a Savoy sausage.
Yeah, I've definitely seen those. Actually, I think I lost a tooth on one of those once. I lost a tooth on the bun, but it's the sort of thing that kind of puts me off them for the rest of my life. Like every time I look at one, I think, am I going to lose a tooth to this? I don't know, but I don't really want to know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys also have
That's-
nightmares about losing teeth?
What?
Everyone has
No.
nightmares about losing teeth. Freud had
Yeah.
loads to say about that. It's a classic thing, yeah.
Yeah. It's just always equally horrific every time it happens. I mean, the nightmare occurs.
Mm.
Usually, I chew the teeth and it sort of starts wiggling, and then it just turns to powder.
Nice.
That's really.
I'm trying to remember what the what like losing teeth in a dream is meant to signify.
Sorry, codename in chat is just we get the guys in chat to name the show. Yeah, he's just named the post show. He's called it KritzKast episode 139 post show Sausage Fest. Nice one. Wow. Were we
Alright.
closing this? Were we going home? 'Cause,
Yes.
yeah. This has
Good
been
night.
an awesome episode of KritzKast, episode 139, post-show, Sausage Fest, as it will forever be referred to from this point onwards. Joining me has been Ruskeydoo and the wreck.
Yeah, that's right.
There we go.
Thank you for having me.
Always welcome back, man. Every time or any time you ever want to have like a random conversation about pretty much nothing, possibly including sausages, can't guarantee it. You are welcome back on the show.
Thanks.
Yeah.
An honor.
Well, just give us a call,
Marvelous.
man. We don't need to be on a show to have a conversation.
Hmm.
All right, mate. Yeah, so excited about that.
He's thinking, yeah, I could stay up till like crazy o'clock in the morning talking about sausages. Let me think.
Yeah. Ooh. Maybe not so much. Will, I'm going to... Oh, sorry, Rusky, I'm going to see you on Wednesday. Everybody is welcome
Yes.
to join us. We're going to a place called Holborn, which is in London, one of the many districts in London. Details about it are on our website. You go to KritzKast.com /fancy-a-pint. You will see all that needs to be seen, the location and the everything. And we expect there to be other people there other than ourselves. But if nobody else comes, sod it. We're perfectly capable of having a long conversation about sausages and the relative place in
If we're
this
in-
apocalyptic world.
If we're in Holborn, I'm sure we could just go out and buy a sausage.
We could.
Multiple
let's face it,
sausages.
there's many sausages available in Holborn and other districts of London, and in fact the entire world. So this has been a long and interesting conversation, hopefully for other people as well. But I think we're done here. Thank you very much, chat room. You've been awesome as always. We love you guys. You are freaking the mutts nuts.
Thank you, chat room.
Catch you later, guys.
Sweet dreams.
Ciao.
Don't have sausages.
About losing teeth.
Leave out.